Deliberating in court and at the Stilfontein mine shaft, how to treat the hundreds of illegal miners refusing to come to the surface.
There's been a lot of talk about pesticide. We see it here, right next to noodles, right next to the children's food.
This fatal crime triggers a call for a national disaster. And tourists are evacuated as a volcano erupts in Iceland with little warning. Hello, I'm Jane Dutton.
This is Eyewitness News.
To this first, arrest warrants have been issued for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Secretary Yoav Gallant over war crimes. The International Criminal Court's warrants are for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity, all relating to the year-long war in Gaza. The court has also issued a warrant for the arrest of Mohammed Daif, Hamas's military chief, for crimes against humanity. They include murder, hostage-taking and sexual violence.
The South African government regards the arrest warrants issued by the ICC for the Prime Minister of Israel and the former Defense Minister of Israel as significant developments. We call upon the global community to uphold the rule of law and ensure accountability for human rights violations.
A national disaster has been declared as another child dies after reportedly eating snacks bought from a spaza shop. The 5-year-old died in a Diepkloof clinic. 3 other children were also treated in the clinic, but later discharged. These foodborne illnesses linked to the death of more than 20 children nationwide have been classified as a national disaster.
But if you want to escalate the response, you go to a declaration of a disaster. It has far-reaching implications because you need to mobilize soldiers. You need to go wild if you want to go to a stage of a disaster.
The interministerial team assigned to address food poisoning incidents has deployed the Agriculture Department to inspect all factories producing tuberphos in the country. Tuberphos is a highly toxic chemical used to control pests, but its legal use is restricted to the agricultural sector. The pesticide has been linked to the deaths of several children. And police in KwaZulu-Natal say the storage units used for illicit goods have contributed to the country's food poisoning crisis. Yesterday, police discovered the units storing expired and illicit products believed to have been imported from other countries in Durban. The items included expired food, while some had no expiry dates.
Upon arrival in the storages used to keep the illicit goods, one is met with a very strong bad smell from some of the items that have begun to decay. The items are kept in the same place with dangerous substance, including pills and other medical supplies. When asked if these items could be the cause of the food poisoning incidents, this is what KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi said.
No doubt. When you say this, there's been a lot of talk about pesticide. We see it here, right next to noodles, right next to the children's food, right next to the spice that is used to spice those chips that children consume. So it's an obvious thing.
Police are investigating the source of the items and hope to make arrests soon. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Rescue teams are still deliberating how to get hundreds of illegal miners from an abandoned mine in Stilfontein. Plans are currently underway to force hundreds of Zamas back to the surface and shut down an illegal operation that's been running for years at the old Buffelsfontein gold mine in the northwest. The rubble near the shaft was cleared yesterday. The next step includes sending a camera down the shaft to inspect the area when machines will be deployed for the extraction.
No, I'm not sure you are aware because there's nothing that was written about the camera. You must understand such information. You will not tell people underground there's a camera that is coming, you see. But the process, camera is part and parcel of the process of the government. And that camera is not going to go to them. It's just going to assess the whole, the situation around the whole, so that they can understand when they make that, when they put that crane, how that crane is going to work underneath and the distance of where those people are situated.
In the Pretoria High Court today, Stilfontein illegal miners representative spoke about how the men are too weak to leave the mine and also fear for their arrest when they do so.
We've made it clear from day one that we are merely just implementing what is expected of the SAPS in terms of Section 205 of the Constitution, which is to prevent and combat crime. And we are still of the view that what is happening down there is pure criminality. People are mining illegally, and we are merely just stamping the authority of the state.
Interest rates will drop by 25 basis points on Friday, after a unanimous agreement by South African Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee. That'll bring the repo rate down to 7.75% from 8.25%. The repo rate is the interest rate that determines how much the central bank lends to financial institutions. A lower interest rate means you'll pay less to borrow or earn less interest on your investment.
Since our previous meeting, the global macroeconomic context has become more challenging. The dollar has appreciated against most currencies, including the rand. Longer-term interest rates have risen in the United States and across the globe. Short-term rate expectations have likewise shifted up. In general, monetary policy in major economies remains restrictive, and headline inflation has slowed. While this has provided some room for major central banks to ease rates further, over the past 2 months, new inflation pressures and heightened uncertainty suggest diminished policy space. With underlying inflation still above target in several economies, there are risks of policy reversals.
With thousands of Spatter shop owners queuing to register their businesses, government says there is no need to extend the 21-day registration period. This is on the back of President Cyril Ramaphosa giving informal business owners until the 6th of December to register their stores. This is all to tackle the recent spate of food poisoning incidents that have claimed the lives of several children across the country.
Let us not take law into our hands. The system is not going to allow, even if Hlabisa can register a spaza shop, the system is not going to allow Hlabisa to give a spaza shop to be operated by a foreign national. A person who will be registered as the owner of the spaza shop is the one who must operate the spaza shop. If a person opts to allow another person to operate his or her spaza shop, we'll have to go back to the municipality and get the approval.
The placement of pupils for next year's academic year will be completed before the end of this month. The Basic Education Department says there's an influx of pupils entering the system, especially in grades 1 and 8. Gauteng and the Western Cape have been flagged as the provinces with the most overcrowding issues.
It's just the violent incidents that we have been seeing, the faction fights in the Eastern Cape and the floods in some parts of the country. We've been watching the weather forecast because it's been a huge factor in this examination, but there hasn't been anything really that has threatened the exam as a whole.
Hundreds of irate residents in Soweto have been queuing outside the Eskom administration office to upgrade their prepaid meters. Now people have been told they'll be required to pay 500 Rand per month for the upgrade and an additional 350 Rand for electricity. The upgrade falls in line with a technical switchover, which Eskom claims simply cannot be extended, meaning that millions will be left in the dark, unable to load electricity tokens. At least 2 million South Africans have yet to upgrade their prepaid meters, with Sunday's deadline looming. A fishing village and tourist hotspot in southwest Iceland have been evacuated after a volcano erupted for the 7th time this year. Volcanoes on the peninsula hadn't erupted for 8 centuries until March 2021, when a period of heightened seismic activity began. Images broadcast live showed red-orange lava gushing from a long fissure surrounded by thick smoke. The eruption poses no threat to air travel. That's it from me and the rest of the team. Don't forget to download the EWN app.
Eyewitness News. In touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.